So you want to hear about the Madagascar video game? Well, I guess this is a pretty good spot to do it. While I have seen the movie this game is based on, I honestly remember very little other than the general plot. Sadly, I however do remember this from, I think, the sequel. The game opens up with what I can only assume is a clip from the movie transitioned into a jump scare from this horribly scary child. The first thing we have to do is collect these power cards around the stage to unlock a new ability. Now these power cards are given out multiple times throughout this game. They're never really a challenge to get, so admittedly I don't really understand why they're designed the way they are. Obviously the idea was to gradually give us more tools to use throughout the game, but if they're always right next to each other, why make it to where you have to collect 3 of them as opposed to just 1? This is honestly a little nitpicky, but I still thought it was worth bringing up these collectibles. The first ability we unlock is a kick, and wouldn't you know it? This sure is a kick. Shortly after unlocking the kick, we head over to the lion exhibit to meet Alex, and this is where the biggest appeal of this game shows up. You get to play multiple characters in this game, and they're all pretty unique to one another. Alex's most unique trait is for sure his double jump. I'd say he's the most traditional as far as a platforming video game character goes. The stages you get to play with him somewhat showcase that, but I'll get into stuff about stages later. Gloria is another unique character. I'd say she's the only one that doesn't really do any platforming. She's mostly a bruiser character. As opposed to making jumps, her gameplay consists of eating chili peppers to start sprinting, and while she's in this running state, she can pretty much tear through anything in her path. Now I do like a character that's able to move quickly, but I don't think there's a way to cancel out of this pepper state, so you're kind of stuck moving forward until the timer on the ability runs out. Now we have Melvin, who uses his lanky giraffe legs to hover across large gaps between platforms. This is by far his most standout mechanic, and honestly, Melvin is my favorite to play. One bizarre thing that happens while you play him though is you stumble across a construction zone on the streets of New York, and the workers there start to attack you. Now I don't know about you, but if I ran into a giraffe on the streets, I don't think my first thought would be to try and wail on it with a wrench. Now you may be wondering how they made Marty stand out in this game. Well, you see, they actually make use of the most iconic thing in the animal kingdom, the iconic zebra long jump. So this game is a little strange. It feels like they just crammed as many different kind of video game genres as they could. You have stealth missions, platforming levels, a racing game, airplane mode, first-person shooter, crane machine, whack-a-mole, fishing, fucking Simon Says. And that's all just in the regular levels. I haven't even brought up the multiplayer games. Now to be completely honest, there were very few levels in this game that stood out. I think the different playstyles this game offers is by far the best part about it, but regardless, after murdering construction workers and whoever may be in Gloria's path on the streets, we quickly try to make our way to Grand Central Station to get out of the city and make our way to the wild. However, I can only imagine by the gigantic ruckus we've made, the police have been called, and they have everyone shipped out by boat to who knows where. Now on this boat, this is the level where you get to play as Skipper the Penguin. Now this is mostly a stealth mission, but admittedly, I don't think I'm being all that stealthy in this cardboard box. But you know what? Nobody is questioning this, so why should I? There's also a section where you have to use this crane machine to lock workers on this boat in a cage, but I found it much more effective to make sure none of these people could seek their revenge by simply dropping them into the ocean. Good luck coming back from that one. But this crane pales in comparison to my gun. Okay, it's just tranquilizers, but still, there's some large creatures on this boat, so this is probably some pretty intense stuff. I hope penguins aren't this scary in real life. I'm watching you. We finally made it to Madagascar. There's a small section where we have to guide bees to flowers, and I just want you to hear this sound file.
Take us to the flowers. Flowers. Woo. Take us to the flowers. Hurry up, or you'll be stung.
I need to find a
flowers. Woo.
We finally meet the Liebers, and it turns out they're having an issue with their mortal enemies, the Foosas. Now we have to help out our newfound lemur friends. In this stage, we get to see Marty kick down gigantic rocks from bridges, and you know what? Attacking in this game actually feels really good. The game pretty much just automatically directs you to face the nearest enemy when you attack, so missing a hit is actually harder than landing one. Most of the attacks in this game are single hitting, and man, I don't know what it is, but it's super satisfying. I think even years after I've beaten this game, I'll still gleefully remember kicking those trash cans at security guards. But speaking of guards, I don't really care for guarding these lemurs. This is a mission where you have to guide these little guys through the forest as Alex. All you do is keep the fooses away with your mighty lion roar. The unfortunate thing about this roar is that it's much louder than the rest of the game. I'll show you what I mean. The next level is about collecting food for the lemur's feast. In order to collect the different pieces of food, you have to go through multiple challenges to get them all. Now, most of these challenges you have to do are actually pretty fun. Sadly, not all of these challenges are created equal. I'm looking at you, Simon Says. I wouldn't even call myself a hater of this game, but this is the slowest game of Simon Says I have ever played. You have to jump back and forth on these mushrooms, but you pretty much always have to return to the center mushroom after the fact. I wish there was just a faster way to get through this. Now, like I said, plenty of these little games are fun. Like here, I absolutely adore Whack-A-Mole. You unlock a new move for Gloria called Hip Check, and just like the attacks I mentioned earlier, Gloria's hips also have Aim Hack. This one is really fun. You have to collect 10 different ingredients for the lemurs, and while me trying to find the different locations of these food challenges took me a while, none of them particularly took a super long time, so it almost feels like a big minigame run, and I love that. Now, the lemurs are having more than just a problem finding food. They're also having an issue with these worms destroying this local tree. For whatever reason, they think it's a good idea to get the germophobic giraffes help. In this level, you fling coconuts at the worm's nest, and wouldn't you know it, this is also pretty fun. But then we have to find the worm's colony. We have to fling durians at them because those explode for whatever reason. The meter to actually fling these durians is extremely sensitive. I swear I would get close, then try to make the smallest micro adjustment just to have these fruits take off way farther than I wanted. Speaking of these fruits, bizarrely, this game is very anti-durian. There's a level where you have to collect fruit for a boar so he can increase his strength, and he will take every single fruit you collect. Except for durians. Even the final boss has this ridiculous breath weapon that he gains after eating a durian. If you know the plot of the movie, you probably know that Alex goes insane and tries to eat everybody. There's a section of the game where you try to avoid him as Melvin flying over top. Since the gang obviously wants to avoid being eaten, we have to build a rescue beacon. This level is very similar to the one where you have to collect the 10 fruits for the lemurs, just now instead we have to collect 10 pieces for this beacon. Now, a lot of these trials don't quite stand out as much as the minigames for the feast, but there is still one that stands out. You see, there's a beacon piece that's being guarded by kung fu crocodiles. If you can believe it, this isn't exactly difficult, as none of the game really is, but it for sure stands out. All you have to do is wait for all their attacks until they're tired and then go in for the kill. But after that and a few other challenges, it's time to call for help. Obviously, we can't morally leave Alex behind, so Morty asks Mort for help. The path is blocked, but this boar can help, and this goes back to the previously mentioned no durian mission. But after that, he does this.
That's it? All you did was push over a rock? This ain't no dead end. I'm about to open a can of butt on you, warthog.
And if you can believe it, Kung Fu Crocodile actually makes a second appearance. He snatches Mort away and challenges us to a race down this massive water slide. Now this is another shake-up in gameplay, and it's honestly pretty enjoyable. I'm gonna be honest, I lost this race the first time around, but the crocodile just says he's fine humiliating us again, so you just get infinite attempts in this. I'm wondering if there isn't a world where Morty can win, and this is how all 3 of these characters spend the rest of their lives. Forced to slide down this water for the rest of their lives. But once we finally beat the croc in his little game, we for whatever reason decide it's a good idea to jump in this massive whirlpool. After that, we finally make it to the last level. This is just a boss fight with another anthropomorphic animal. It would be pretty hard to lose this one, as whenever you get to low health, some extra HP just drops on the map, but it's honestly okay. Once again, this boss uses the evil might of durians, but this boss fight is pretty simple overall. And after finally winning this battle, the gang regroups and get ready to head home. Now, admittedly, I don't remember a ton about this game from my childhood. I don't think this was a game I actually owned. This is one of those games that a friend had and we'd play it while visiting at his house. This game has just a little bit more to offer than just its story mode. It also has 3 minigame modes, and to be honest, I do like these. I remember playing shuffleboard in mini golf for hours. There's also a third game, which is just an awful rhythm game. We didn't play this one too much. However, specifically, mini golf holds a special place in my heart. I'm sure you could guess, but this game is pretty simple, and it's by no means the best mini golf I've ever played, but it was still worth worth bringing up, as this is the part of the game that I'm actually nostalgic for, even if I'm sure this was eventually just set aside for us to go play Double Dash or something. So my overall thoughts on this game, to be honest, are pretty positive. I think that there's a ton of good stuff here, especially with the variety in characters. Sadly, I think the levels themselves don't stand out too much, except for maybe a couple of them. But I mean, how much could you exactly ask for when talking about a movie tie-in game? This game only takes about 3 hours to beat, so if you have the spare time, I'd sure go check it out. With all that being said, I think it's time to put a close on the Madagascar chapter. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button. A comment would also be much appreciated. If you don't have anything to say, a lion emoji would also be a big help. Well, thank you all for watching, and catch you on the next one.